Hey everyone, welcome to the LYB podcast. I'm Danny D. I've been teaching women over the last 8 years how to change the mindset of what it's like to live a real healthy lifestyle. I help them get past comparisons, break stereotypes of what healthy and fit should look like, and help all bodies become confident through getting movement in and fighting for what they want. On this podcast, we keep it real and authentic and talk about all the things health and fitness, trends and diets, nonsense in the fitness industry, my life as a single business owner, and all the amazing things so far along this mission. My goal is to help you love your body throughout, so let's get to it. Welcome to the LYB podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the LYB podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my autoimmune issues and kind of shed some light on what that whole experience has looked like, because I think a lot of people just don't have a knowledge of what autoimmune issues even means and just everything like that. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. So let's get into it. I was diagnosed with autoimmune issues, I guess now like a year and a half ago. I started having issues literally the leading up to turning 30, and now I'm 32. But it took about a year of having flare-ups, and then even like I'd say a year and a half just to figure out like what exactly was going on, because it was almost like it was so frustrating. Like it was almost like I felt like there was no end. There was no just there was no like end of the tunnel. Like I don't know. I just was like, wow, I'm drowning and I can't figure out what is happening and what's going on. So what happened was I had gone to several specialists and spent all this money to literally be told the same thing over and over again. It cannot be fixed, is what I was told. And I was told that this is something that is caused from stress. And I was like, oh, well, it makes sense. Bodybuilding, the whole deal, whatever. And so I got really frustrated. And, I was like, there's got to be like, I need something else. Like, we can't all be saying the same thing. But unfortunately, doctors, physicians, like everyone was saying the same thing. So what it is I have like, it's called the herpes simplex virus. So I know what you're thinking, but it's not that. The least likely person to have that. But basically, it's something that there's I don't know a statistic, but most people are born with it. And that's why you see people who have cold sores all the time. They have this. But for me, I had like never had a cold sore before, but my dad gets them often. So it's probably passed to me like, through birth and everything like that. But a lot of people's remains dormant for their entire lives. So no one even, knows that know they have it. And this is one of those things where I didn't know what was happening. So it was just kind of like, okay, I'm getting these like styes in my eye is swelling up, it had these huge events coming up and literally couldn't see out of my eye because it was shut. And, people were like, wow, you're being really dramatic, whatever. And I just remember sending pictures to my friends and they're like, oh, so you're not being dramatic. Like, okay, this is like really bad. Let's like a golf ball in your face. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I would go get a steroid shot, come back, and like, maybe a few months later it would happen again. So this is during bodybuilding, getting ready for my shows and everything like that. And I remember when I stood on stage I was 31, stood on stage for the Tennessee State show, I couldn't really see out of my left eye. And I had asked questions at workshops prior. I'm like, has anyone gone through this? Like, does anybody know like what is happening to me? And everyone just looked at me like, I mean, like, I don't know. I've never heard of something like this happening. And I was like, cool. And they're like, yeah, like, what does your coach say? He's like, yeah, this is hard. So with no help from anyone at this point, I felt very just upset and frustrated and that alone. And, it seems to be that like when it came to mentioning to my coach, it was just like, well, this is really hard. And I was like, dude, I've pulled trucks, I've bent steel bars, I've done really hard stuff. Something's wrong. So, and I remember sitting there 6 months before my show being like, man, I really need to stop because I just like was a shell of a person, but to the point where I was having bad mental thoughts. I was having just like a lot of hardship. And I would just sit on the couch and be like, if I was to die right now, I'm good with it. And these are not normal symptoms of just a bodybuilding prep. You know what I'm saying? So I really did. I didn't really have support in that. And everyone was like, wow, you're doing amazing. You're doing so good, and rightfully so because they didn't know. But, it just kept getting smaller and smaller and just getting more praised and praised and praised. And then after that, after like I turned 31 and did the show, I was like, I'm not working as coach anymore. So then I was like, I'll pivot to a different coach. But their tactics were still the same type of stuff. It was just like a little bit more food. So like, okay, well, this isn't a good plan for me. So I guess this is just what bodybuilding is, which is not true, but it really just made me really upset. So anyway, but the reason I wanted to talk about this is because like today, for example, like I am like a little bit warm. Like if you're watching on YouTube, you probably see I'm a little bit hot and like that's not really normal for me. Like, but when I'm around people during like fall season, stuff like that, or around a lot of people in a crowd, I have a weaker immune system. So I pick up everything now. So it's almost like I can't like, it's basically my body's like flushing, and I don't even know if this is a real term or whatever, but it feels like that. Like I get warm, like a little bit hot in my face, and then I start to, yeah, just like I guess fight it off. But I'm very aware of it. Like I don't know. I had such a good immune system before, and I never like felt ever like I was sick. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon. Like I'm never at sick. So now I will feel like down for the count because I went to an event like a couple weeks ago, and it was like a ton of people around. I wasn't even talking to them like closely. It was just being in that area. So I kind of have to know that now that like I'm gonna feel this weird where I'm like hot for a little while and it's like my body fighting it off, and then I'll be okay the next day. I do take valsiclovir, which is a stupid medicine, but whatever. Just a generic medicine to help like flare ups to not happen. And I started taking that like when all this began, but it was like 4 of them a day, and I wasn't allowed to wear contacts. I had to just literally do my glasses, so that was really upsetting. And, and also once I decided in June of 2024, I decided to stop with my prep. Like I was 8 weeks out, and I was like, I gotta stop. I already paid for my suit. I already paid for the show. Didn't get any of that money back. Thank you very much. But okay. But literally was told from the doctors like, hey, your liver and kidneys are failing. We don't know what's going on. Like, and I was like, cool. What do I need to do? They're like, stop your protein powder, stop your fight supplements, stop everything. And I was like, awesome. I don't know if I can take any more stress. Like, I just had to stop. And I remember crying on the Stairmaster at my old house in the first LYB gym. And I sat there and just wept. Because I prayed. I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, this was the prayer literally. I was on the Stairmaster. I said, because I was waiting for the call for them to tell me like what my blood test and like how everything, hormones, everything looked and whatever. And I remember being like, Lord, if this is not for me, I'm going to need you to take me out because I can't take myself out. And that was a very real, just raw conversation. Because I know myself, I'm not a quitter. And I was like, there's got to be something dire. Like, I literally have to be dying to not step on the stage. And literally that's what I was told. So it was like, something's wrong. You got to stop everything, whatever. And so again, I still moved my body, but I had to like do it a different way. I wasn't getting up and doing fasted cardio every freaking day. I wasn't doing 300 lunges, or 300, what am I saying 300? It was 30 minutes of lunges. So it's like 1,000 lunges or like 750 to 1,000 details. Anyway, like 3 times a week. So stuff like that, like I was just over it. And so like even right now I'm sipping on a mineral cocktail and it's like something to help like replenish my electrolytes and help my mineral balance and stuff. But like even as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I see floaters in my eyes. I also have my scleral lens. So like after doing a year of like no contacts and like really like just not being able to see out of my left eye, being so frustrated, I finally got approved to only do 1 valsiclovir pill a day. Got off of the steroid drops for my eyes, and now I'm able to wear a scleral lens. That's how you say it. It's a hard lens. And what I have to do every morning is I have to look down at a mirror. Okay, so all transparency, my camera died. So we're back into it. But basically, what I was talking about was just, again, with the autoimmune protocols and things like that, like it's so individualized, and it's something that none of us want to do. None of us want to be like, oh, let's miss out on something so we can get extra sleep, or let's focus on, making sure that every macro is to the point, like, all these things, right? And especially because I had gotten out of bodybuilding, so I was trying to, rehab my relationship with food and just everything. So it's one of those things where it's going to be hard. It's going to be frustrating, and especially if you were like me and you put on weight because of it, it's like you're not able comfortable in your body. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, I did take off my button up because I was like, you know what? I'm feeling myself. Like I got a spray tan, I got my hair straight, like I do feel good. And like I said, I ran 2 miles this morning. Like things are just finally coming together. But me trying to rush it, and I did. I tried to push it. I tried to, force things. I would go and work out with my old trainer and then be like, I can't do this. Like I feel a flare up coming on. Like it just put me down. Like, or I would do something or overextend myself. And then I was just down for the count for, you know, weeks. And I just was like, that's not a life I want to live. So here we are. And, I'm feeling good, but we still have so much more to overcome. So stay tuned for all of, all the things and continue to keep watching. Please ask questions. If you are someone who is like, I'm going through the same thing, I would love some help, some guidance. I could definitely do that for you. And again, I started this business because I had I just felt very alone. I didn't really have guidance. And so it took me a lot longer to get to where I felt my most confident, where I felt my strongest, where I felt just amazing and felt like I could do whatever it was. So no matter if I've been injured, I still was like, let's go to bodybuilding, or even before that, it was like I was overworked, I was tired, and I still was like, let's, go compete in strongman competitions. Like there was no quit in me, and the consistency has stayed the same. So now maybe the seasons have looked different, and there's been different modalities of movement, there's been different competing, there's been different priorities, right? But I just want to say, like, with an accountability coach and someone who's been through it, I feel like you're more likely to be successful along the way versus just, let's say, someone who has no idea what you're going through or like has no empathy to that. So I know that this happened for me because I had to slow down. And if, I look at it like this, if I would have kept doing strongman competitions, eventually I would have hurt myself even worse than I did. And I could have been paralyzed. That's what I look at. If you say that's extreme, it's not, because I did fracture my vertebrae. So, and I couldn't feel my leg for, like I said, 3 years with the numbness. So the nerve damage. So I had to start over. And then with the bodybuilding, I would have kept going, and it probably would have ruined my life. Like it probably would have ruined my relationships. I mean, I already was doing that, just with people, and then like ruining the notion of like what this mission is all about. Because I couldn't get to that point where I was happy with what I saw, because it's like, oh, it's my smallest I'd ever been, but then I lost my booty. So people were commenting on that, and that would get in my head. Or I was like, I'm still not as big as I need to be, like muscularity wise. And that would get in my head. And it's like, I had to really lean on LYB, because if I love your body, because if I didn't, I was not going to make it out of that bodybuilding life and everything. So being able to find that love for myself again was, again, a restart, reset. And I do think that if I would have kept going, I would have lost my vision. And that would have been permanent. And, having to do a cornea transplant, no joke, when you have your, solo insurance or whatever you got going on like me, and it's not great, self-insured, and they don't even know if they'll cover it. I've looked into it. It's like, are you kidding me? So I can't just lay out all that money to get a new eye. And anyway, so it's just one of those things where I feel like I would have gone blind in that eye. So, and look how that would have impacted my life, right? So it's just like, again, I had to look at it and be like, okay, for what? Like, okay, maybe could have gone pro natural years later. Sure. But like, well, again, what would that have done? There's not really any money in that. And also, like, what would that have proven to myself? Just, again, hard work and discipline. Like, I do love like the idea of doing a bodybuilding like prep and like and all of those things, but and just living that lifestyle. But getting to the show, I mean, doing the stage, like that was just, it got to be too much. It was just too much. So I should have stopped after one or after two shows and after doing 1 year a bit. But anyway, you learn these lessons, you live them. And like I said, it's one of those things where I have done several half marathons. I've done so many things, I've lived so many different lives that like, I really do feel like I get help the woman who is that person who overextends themselves, who wants a body they feel confident in. That doesn't mean a smaller body. That doesn't mean more, like it just means whatever that means for you, a more confident body, and wants to have a self-esteem that they can say no to the nonsense. Like with my walk with God, like I've had to say no to a lot of temptation, a lot of I guess like just nonsense, extra people saying things to me, like, whatever it is. And really have discernment. So like all of this has brought me closer to God. And I think that's why this has happened. And again, even by Danny stopped trying to rationalize it or whatever, but sometimes when you're in the trenches and like when you're through this, like you got to have some type of like, okay, well, this is probably why it happened, but it could have just been that was the plan all along. But I try to look at things and say, okay, well, I'm not gonna go back and repeat it. I'm not gonna, go back and do bodybuilding how I once did. Now, does that say I would ever do it again? If there was money involved or someone got paying me to do it, and there's a proper coaching, and there's a world maybe, or if someone's like, hey, can you do the strongman competition? It's gonna be featured on I don't know, Good Morning America or something, if you lifting heavy, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll do it. Like, I mean, that's some like opportunities. Like, there's a kind of one-off things, like, right? But again, only if it's safe, only if I'm healthy, and only if I have the right mindset with it. So every, I guess you could say setback or lesson I have been able to, with God's help, been able to move forward, fight for what I want, get moving, love my body throughout, all the things, but and been able to not stop and keep getting back to finding what is my best self. And I will say that me at my smallest and like the vanity with that, like that wasn't going to get me anywhere positive. And with strongman too, like the allure that I put off of like being the strongest woman, like there was just like things that like, again, it kind of it wasn't kept in check. So I do see where like it all could have, hit the fan really badly. And so I'm glad that, pulled out like when I did with those things. And now, like I said, I feel very athletic doing my workouts in my home gym, the LYB. And I, put my heart and soul into that gym. So it's one of those things where now I want as many people to come in there as possible, whether you are someone who you're a trainer listening to this and you need a space to train, like let me know. We can set that up. If you are someone who is wanting to train in person with me and you're just like, I just want to see how the experience goes, then please reach out. Also, if you're somebody who has wanted to do online programming with me, I have an app that I'm using now. So it's much more efficient, easy. It's just awesome. So I would love to have you in that. And then I also even have like other programs as well for somebody that's like, balling on a budget and needs some support, needs some guidance. So please never feel free or like never hesitate to reach out. Like always feel free to DM me or reach out on, via email or whatever it might be, because again, you could do this on your own. I believe you could, but also why would you when you already have the world, that you have to take care of, whether it's kids, your husband, your partner, your job, your employees, like whatever it might be, why not have that extra support? And truly, I put this out there to somebody the other day. I was like, my old trainer has a coach. My old coaches had a coach. Like my people that that are successful, that look good or look great on Instagram or whatever it might be, like they all have mentors, they all have coaches. So we all have someone that we follow. So we're constantly learning, constantly getting better. So for someone to be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like do this fitness thing and be like look like a bodybuilder walking around every day. It's like, or become the strongest woman or whatever. It's like you're not gonna get there alone. So why not? And if you do, eventually, I feel like it's gonna take you 5 times longer than if you would have invested the time and the money to work with a professional. So if that is of interest of you, please reach out. I would love to work with you. And you guys, I want you to think about something you love about your body. Feel free to send that over. And until next time.